Hi, this is Josh Kulp. We are learning Daf Shevui. We are on Daf Lammed Vav of Masechet Kiddushin, and I wanted to talk about a braita that comes up sort of as a side note. Most of this daf is about the prohibition of making bald spots on one's head. Not something I have to worry about. It happened naturally. And shaving and whether that applies to women and where the tefillin goes. A lot of interesting things, but I don't want to talk so much about that. The Braita is another interpretation of Banim atem l'Adonai Elohechem. You are children to the Lord your God. And the Braita begins, Lichidetanya, as it's taught in the Braita, Banim atem l'Adonai Elohechem, you are children of the Lord your God. Bizman shetem noagim minhag banim, when you act like children of the Lord, atem kruim banim, then you'll be called children. Ein atem noagim minhag banim, if you do not follow the traditions of the children, meaning the mitzvot, the ways of Israel, ein atem kruim banim, you are not called children. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir Omer, but Rabbi Meir disagrees. Bein kach ubein kach atem kruim banim. Whether you do not observe the mitzvot, you are still called banim. Shenamar banim scharim hema. For it is said they are wayward children, and he quotes a series of verses that calls Israel banim, children, even though they've gone astray, worshipped idols, and are generally not observing the mitzvot, not following in the ways of Judaism. And I think it's a very interesting machloket, and I think it's a dispute, and I think it's worthy of seeing the merits of both sides. According to Rabbi Yehuda, our relationship to God, our essence as Jews, our even name, if you will, of children of God, B'nai Yisrael, is dependent on our behavior, and it can be lost. It's not something that we can take for granted. It's not something that's automatic. When Jews do not behave as Jews, they are essentially no longer Jews. This is not the way we generally think of Judaism, and I'll get to that in a second, but I think that there's some merit in considering this position, that you don't just automatically become a Jew. Well, you might automatically become a Jew, but you don't automatically stay a Jew. You have responsibilities as a Jew to behave ethically, to behave ritually in a proper way, to maintain the customs and the traditions of the people of Israel. Again, I don't know if I'm talking about every single tiny mitzvah would cause you to lose the status of banim, of children of God, but in general, somebody who really has lost all of that, the way of acting, the behavior that creates a Jewish person, is really, in a sense, no longer part of Israel. And that gives a heavy responsibility to Jews to maintain certain standards of behavior. As I said, it's something that makes us a little uncomfortable, because probably most of us live in a world where we consider people Jews based on the fact that they were born as Jews. And that's essentially what Rabbi Meir says, that your status as banim has nothing to do with your behavior. That is the normal halachic way that most people think of Judaism. I hear this all the time. People come up to me and say, Josh, is it true that even a Jew who doesn't keep any mitzvot, even a Jew, people essentially cannot de-Judaicize themselves. Even if they convert to Christianity or some other religion, they are still Jews. And that is the normative way for the most part of thinking about Judaism, and it has something assuring to it. Right? Our relationship to God as Jews, our relationship to Jewish history, our relationship to the Jewish people, to the Jewish land, to all that goes along with being being Jewish, cannot be undone. Right? It's permanent. The same way, in a sense, my relationship to my parents is permanent. I will always be my parents' son. My children will always be my children. Even if we have nothing to do with each other, you can't cut those genetic ties. And I think that there's something comforting to that. On the other hand, it does remove any responsibility from a person, or at least lessens that responsibility. If this relationship is never in danger of being severed, then perhaps I don't have to cultivate that relationship. And so I think there's a little bit of a danger in Rabbi Meir's position, even though it's normative and we feel more comforted by it. And I think it does, in the end, maintain Jewish cohesiveness. I think that we should consider at least the merits of Rabbi Yehuda's position, that our relationship to God as children of God is dependent on our behavior and is not automatically just part of our genetic heritage. So I think it's an interesting dispute, has ramifications for how we understand Judaism today, and I'll let you ponder that. As always, please participate in our Facebook group. I put up these videos there sometimes too, and I'd be happy for people to watch them.